Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, friends and colleagues from near and far. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay, Cik Mat.
Okay, Cik Mat.
How are you all?
Good.
Alhamdulillah.
It's been quite a while I make appearance, so this is a rare opportunity, so I won't miss it for the world. I'm hosting this afternoon Mrs. Hashimah Binti Hashim from the Malaysian Communication and Multimedia Commission, Ncmc. Mrs. Hashimah, are you here with us?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm
Okay.
here. Can you hear me?
Thank you,
Yes,
Mrs.
yes.
Hashimah.
Yes.
Yeah, can we call you Hashimah?
Sure, no problem.
Right, thank you. And I think you'll be entertaining us in a bit of legalese, which is a legal language, because you'll be talking about something in the Communication and Multimedia Act 1998, and precisely on verifying information. So if that is correct, I'll hand over to you right now. You have about 45 minutes. We'll conclude about 2:45. If time permitting, there will be question and answer after the second session. Okay, thank you very much. Over to you.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry there could have been some misunderstanding. I will not be talking so much about the law because I'm coming from the advocacy side. I'm from the community engagement department. However, of course, definitely will touch a bit on the law too. So verifying information in the terms of what does it relate to the Communication and Multimedia Act, and also the penalties under this act. I hope that is okay with everybody. And another thing is that we've prepared this presentation in Bahasa Malaysia, but I'll try to do it in dual language. Will that be okay with all too? I hope that is okay, because normally once we receive the oh, I'm breaking. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, am I breaking right now?
No?
Not right?
No.
Okay, that's good. Someone just said that I'm breaking. Okay, Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon to all. Nice to be here to be invited to this session. I'd like to share with you a bit from Ncmc. So without further ado, I'll start with my presentation. So the slides will be in Bahasa Malaysia, but I'll try to do it in your language, yeah? Let me share the slides on from us. Can you all have a look at the slides?
Not yet.
Wait, yeah?
Okay.
Hang on, yeah? Hang on for a while. Okay, can you all see the slides?
Yes. Is it the kebebasan bersuara bukan kebebasan berbohong first slide?
Yes.
Oh, right,
Yes,
yeah.
that's correct. Well, before we go directly into verifying information and in association with Communication and Multimedia Act, I'd like to start with Kebebasan Bersuara Bukan Kebebasan Berbohong, a campaign that we have done sometime last year until end of the year. It's about the freedom of speech does not equals to freedom to lie. You can speak the truth, but you must not lie about what you have spoken. Okay. Well, maybe for a start, we'll have a bit of everybody says that whatever is on the internet are correct. So I'll share with you one video. Okay, that's the first video. And let's share a bit about maklumat palsu because verifying information is to
Sorry,
ensure that
Hashimah,
we have
the
correct.
slide, the video doesn't appear.
The video doesn't appear.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
seriously?
Yes.
Oh, what happened to the video?
Still the same slide.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, let me try again. Sorry about that, yeah.
It's
Sometimes
okay.
It's okay.
technology fails us.
It's fine.
The next one, optimum communication. I think the admin has to allow us to share video. I think the admin has to allow us to share video. Can you all see me now?
Yes, I can see you.
You?
We got to stop share, and the admin has got to allow us to share the video. If not, we will not get. There are quite a number of videos that I would like to share actually. Can we try again? Let me try again and
Yeah,
see.
try again, yes.
Oh, share screen. Oh, still cannot. Let me just try and see whether you all. What can you see right now? Can you see ramai orang percaya berita di internet? Can you see that screen?
No.
No.
Oh, what screen are you looking at now?
Your video.
Your screen.
Your screen, your video.
Oh, my screen. Okay, how about this one?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, oh,
All right.
Ramai
okay.
orang
Let me
percaya.
test it.
Ramai orang percaya berita di internet.
Yes, ramai orang
Okay.
percaya. Okay, I'll just play the video, see whether you all can.
Ramai kawan-kawan kita percaya semua berita di internet tu betul.
Can you hear that?
Termasuklah yang diviralkan.
Yep.
Tapi
Yes.
tak semua berita di internet tu betul. Ada orang memang suka buat dan sebarkan berita palsu di internet. Yang viral pun belum tentu betul. Kalau kita tak pasti, lebih baik jangan kongsi.
Okay, can you hear, can you look at this video just now?
Yes.
Okay, proceed, yeah. So basically, verifying information will always lead to whether the information is correct or not. So that's why we start with maklumat palsu, because there are so many news on the internet, especially that sounds very correct, that sounds very interesting, but sometimes at times there's very limited space for us to really check whether it is really correct or not. So we have to always be careful to ensure that the information that we are receiving and sharing with others are the correct information, adalah maklumat yang sahih. Okay, why we say that it's very important to ensure that information are all correct, because the negative effect to the of sharing information is huge. also a few cases that people share about previously, about the case of MH70, 370 that happens in Malaysia, and there's so many fake news surrounding that cases. So it has, resulted in, of course, being a family members to one of the passengers. You feel that very sad when you receive all this information. Of course, you want to know that everybody is safe, but until today, we actually don't really know the fate of what has happened earlier. So it could mengaitkan individu atau pihak yang terlibat. It could give negative implication to the reputation or the organisation, and it could also cause a lot of money loss, and also it can also cause penyebaran maklumat yang tidak benar kepada masyarakat, meaning to say that you are spreading fake news that can also create uneasiness among the society or among the community. So, how to ensure that maklumat yang disebarkan tanpa kesahihan serta bukti yang sah? Next, we'll go into the acronym of how to check whether the information are correct or not. But before that, there are a few implications of understanding about what is misinformation, what is disinformation, what is malinformation. So, fake news is basically written. Fake news is basically written and published, usually with intent to mislead in order to damage an agency, entity, or person, as well as gain financially or politically, and often using censorship, sensational. My goodness, I don't know why today I can't pronounce this, but often using dishonest or outright fabricated headlines to increase readership. As long as whatever something that's sensational that can increase readership, people will just put that as headlines. So sometimes people just read headlines without reading the real story. So when you read headlines will tend to create, be very fancy or create your attract your attention. But actually, we have to read the whole story to understand what is underlying it. But some people just read the headlines and make the assumptions. Okay. Misinformation is when false information is shared, but no harm is meant. Disinformation is when false information is knowingly shared to cause harm. And malinformation is when genuine information is shared to cause harm, often by moving information designated to stay in private mode into the public sphere, meaning to say some information like hanya untuk internal circulation, for example, but it's been sent out to the rest of the public, which sometimes public do not understand underlying what has happened for that certain things will happen in that organization or with that information per se. So how to ensure that we are able to evaluate that the information are correct. So there's an acronym for it. One is SURE, SURE. S is for the source. We must ensure that the source of information, where do we get the information? And so this is the concept of SURE. So check the source. Where does it come from? Whether the source can reliable, whether it's coming from reputational organization or coming from the government or other ministries. The second is understand. We need to understand the information that we have received in order to be able to evaluate. If we do not understand, then it's very difficult for us to evaluate information. R, the third one is R, which is research. We have to research about the information that we have received, checking the source of information, where it's coming from. It could be from multiple platforms. If everybody is saying about the same thing and coming from very resourceful organization, then it shows that information is something that we can believe and also rely on. E is evaluate. So we need to find, to be able to evaluate the information. For example, first and second information, when you find any information that you have received, it is still about the same thing. So you are able to, based on all the three steps before, you are able to evaluate whether the information that we have received are actually something very reliable. And the next acronym is AACCO, ECHO. As you can see, A stands for accuracy. So we have to check about the accuracy of the information, whether it's only personal thinking or it's only from based on certain people's experience, or it has to be coming from a very resourceful organizations, or coming from someone that has the authority of providing that information. So it goes to the second A, authority. And next is coverage. What is the topic about? Whether it is very deep, deep, or whether it's just very, very surface discussion. So if it's very deep, so the person talking about it must be coming from the organization in charge of a certain topic. For example, it's about Ministry of about health issues, especially COVID-19. So currently, the organization that is the authority who should speak about is coming from Majlis Keselamatan Negara or Ministry of Health. And also C is currency, whether it's very current, because sometimes that fake news and news has been resurfaced 10 years ago, come back now, and it can happen that way. So we have to check whether that news is current or not. And also the objective. So we need to also understand the objective of the writing of the topic. What is it about? Is the objective is to share good information, or the objective is to spread fake news? So we need to be able to identify and to be able to look at the underlying objective of the writing or even the information that we have received. Next, I'm going to share with you another video. I hope you can hear, or I mean the sound is okay. If not, please let me know, yeah. This is about semak fakta. Can you see the semak fakta now? Can someone answer me?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir.
Semak fakta.
Okay.
Tahukah anda, kandungan yang tidak benar mudah tersebar di dunia cyber? Kemungkinan kandungan ini telah dimanipulasi oleh pihak yang tidak bertanggungjawab dan mempunyai agenda tertentu. Sebagai contoh, ada pihak tertentu yang meminta derma untuk merawat seorang kanak-kanak yang menghidap penyakit berbahaya. Rupa-rupanya, kanak-kanak yang sakit itu tak wujud pun. Sebenarnya, ini merupakan satu penipuan. Ataupun anda telah ditawarkan pekerjaan di sebuah syarikat ternama dengan gaji lumayan. Namun, tawaran tersebut sebenarnya palsu dan dibuat oleh individu yang tak ada langsung kaitan dengan syarikat tersebut. Jadi, elakkan diri anda dari menjadi mangsa berita palsu. Anda harus lebih peka dan pastikan maklumat yang diperolehi adalah dari sumber yang sahih. Hentikan penyebaran maklumat palsu dan beritahu kepada keluarga dan rakan anda supaya berhati-hati dengan apa sahaja maklumat yang diterima. Sentiasa fikir dan semak kesahihan sesuatu maklumat yang diterima. Klik dengan bijak.
Okay, can you all boleh dengar video tadi kan?
Ya, ya, dengar.
Boleh ya, boleh.
Okay. So next, my mouse is failing me. Okay, these are the kesan maklumat tidak tepat. It can cause a lot of losses to certain people. One time, there was this bata company has lost about RM500,000 because becoming the viral of mengatakan dekat tapak kasut tu ada kalimah Allah has been stated there. So it has caused, triggered community to be angry with the company and has boycott their products, and therefore there has come into tremendous losses to the organization. So this is one of the effect of kesan maklumat tidak tepat or false information. Well, I'm sure everybody knows this famous guy, Mr. Jackie Chan. Or he has been presumed dead many times. 2011, 2013, and also 2015. So, but he still live now, yeah. But these are the news about him, about him, died 3 times. So this is another example of what happened to our local artists. Same thing, but these people also the same thing. There also been, there's news saying that they died, but in actual there's all fake news. So all these are berita-berita palsu yang telah disebarluaskan that has caused, that is very something that we should not be doing because to the family members. So of course, if you said when you said something about the family members, it has caused, like for example, Badrul has got family members coming all the way from Singapore, and eventually when they arrive, of course, Alhamdulillah, they're glad to see that he's okay. But it has caused something uneasy among the community, among the family members. This is also another news, but in actual, there's no case. Tiada case kanak-kanak itu, as there's no such thing that happens. Even the Ibu Pejabat Polis Daerah Muar also has confirmed that they have never received any report with regards to this case. Yeah, but it was viral once. Yeah, this is something that happened overseas because of the coronavirus. This is happened sometime last year, early last year. You can see it's May 2020. 5G coronavirus conspiracy theory leads to 77 mobile towers burnt in UK. For information, to build a tower takes a long time, and to ensure that the tower is being placed at the proper area is also takes a lot of work and a lot of money as well as efforts. But to burn it down, to rebuild it will cost. It's not like you can build a tower in just a few days. It takes time to build one tower. Imagine 77 towers has been burnt down. So it has, when you burn the tower, what happened? What happened is that you will also not get the coverage. You have difficulty in getting the coverage and using the internet facilities. So in actual, it gets back to the community that it caused trouble to the own community. So this is because of the fake news that was, that happened in the UK. Next, this is also about beware of these fake coronavirus news. There's earlier last year when the COVID-19 has, has become a pandemic worldwide. There's so many fake news circulating on the internet. So one of it is also about this is actual happened that cats and dogs were thrown from tower blocks in China. The fake news rumors animals are causing spread, which actually in actual that they are not the cause of the coronavirus and they don't spread the virus. Yeah. So spread of fake news has also worsened an already bad public health crisis. This is something that happened in Hong Kong. Well, because of that, World Health Organization has come up with issued information on popular fake news topics. At that time, can pets at home spread the coronavirus? Does the coronavirus affect only older people, not the younger people? And are antibiotics effective? Are there any new coronavirus. This one, you can visit the WHO website and find the information. They have created a lot of infographics to educate the public of what is currently happening with regards to coronavirus. And this is coming back home. This is something that happened in Malaysia. Statistics, case kandungan palsu with regards to COVID-19 between Ncmc and PDRN, Polis Diraja Malaysia. There are up to 15 February 2021, 183 kertas siasatan telah dibuka, currently under investigation 109, charged in court 30, still under court process is 20, and given notice 15. So pasukan respons pantas di bawah UKM telah memproseskan 427 penafian dan penjelasan berita palsu berkaitan COVID-19. So everybody, all of us, we need to ensure that we have to check before we share the information, or if not, there will be certain, especially under Ncmc Act, Section 233, you can be charged under this section. I'll share with you more on Section 233 under Communication and Multimedia Act. Yeah. So this is one case. This happens early of 27 January of 2020. Siasatan terhadap pentadbir akaun aplikasi Facebook Yo Patsy. And there's another case. This is about siasatan terhadap pentadbir akaun Facebook Effendi Said di bawah Section 233 Akta Komunikasi dan Multimedia 1998 berhubung kandungan bersifat palsu mengenai wabak COVID-19. So what happened to them? So Yo Patsy initially, when it was mentioned in court on 11th of March, denied, tidak mengaku bersalah. However, on the 28th of May, the suspect has changed his plea into mengaku bersalah, and the court has menjatuhkan hukuman denda RM4,000, or if not, if itu gagal, she has got to be 3 months imprisonment. But she has paid the RM4,000. Yeah, and Mohamed Effendi Said, when he mentioned in court on 21st of February 2020, telah mengaku bersalah dan dikenakan hukuman berkelakuan baik. So this is a example of 2 cases that has been tested in the court of Malaysia. So, as our Minister Menteri Kanan Kluster Keselamatan also mentioned that hentikan penyebaran berita palsu and kerajaan tidak akan berkompromi terhadap penyebar berita palsu. I'm sure you can see that in the public service announcement by Media Prima, there are also many times that on TV3 also mentioned that selain daripada wabak COVID-19, there is also another wabak that's circulating in the community, which is wabak penyebaran maklumat palsu. I hope that all of us will play our part and ensure that we check our information, verify our information, and we ensure that our information are correct before sharing with our colleagues or family members or even the community. If we are not sure, tidak pasti jangan kongsi. So when we talk about tidak pasti jangan kongsi, that is actually a tagline for another initiative by Ncmc, which is sebenarnya.my. Tidak pasti jangan kongsi. You can download this app too. It's available on App Store or Google Play, and you can check whether the information that has been circulated, whether they are false or true. So Ncmc telah memperkenalkan portal dan aplikasi sebenarnya.my supaya orang ramai dapat menyemak kesahihan maklumat yang diterima serta melaporkan maklumat yang tidak sahih ataupun tidak pasti kepada Ncmc. And this is also to ensure that the public are able to check whether the information is correct and to ensure that before they share into their social media platforms. Yeah, so available on App Store and Google Play. Please download this application. And this is about berita yang melibatkan kepentingan awam dan negara, yang boleh atau telah ditentusahkan, yang telah diwarkan secara rasmi oleh kementerian atau agensi yang berkenaan mengikut skop peranan dan bidang kuasa agensi. Sebenarnya UKM is a platform where Ncmc collaborated with a few agencies, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, JAKIM, and others. There are quite a number of agencies. So whenever we receive questions with regards to a certain news, because news ni bila kita kata news melibatkan kepentingan awam lah, for the public interest, if it's involved Ministry of Health, for instance, Ncmc will not revert immediately but will direct the questions to the Ministry of Health for them to answer officially and send it to us, and then we will display on this portal sebenarnya the MY. The news is A, sebenarnya is what, whether it's true or not true. Has anybody ever, I hope you can have a look at this portal or even go to the sebenarnya website. Yeah, bukan semuanya benar di internet, tidak pasti dan pasti. So these are quite, this is how the, there's some of the news that you can check on this website. Yeah. Waspada penularan berita palsu yang mengancam keselamatan awam. So pihak berkuasa rakam dan pantau whether it's true or not. That it was once circulated that Ncmc will check everybody's phone to ensure whether you're, and then you can be charged with something which is impossible for the Ncmc to do. That's why before end of this presentation, we also talk about self-regulation that everybody needs to ensure that we understand the law and we do what is within the permitted laws. This is also another very interesting foto. Cerita seorang lelaki di China telah menyelamat isterinya kerana melahirkan anak yang putu. This is something which is not true because this is actually, this lady is only actually, it's a photo shoot for a plastic surgery clinic in Taiwan. And she became the subject of a false story circulated widely online. So in this photo is pictured that a family portrait setting with a man and 3 children. The man and the lady looks very handsome, but the children are not what they're supposed to be, following the father or the mother. So the only thing you ever have to worry about is how to explain it to the kids. What's the tagline? But actually, this is just, it's just it's supposed to be a print ad and not to be circulated online. But it ended up online after being posted by a different clinic. Soon after that comes surfaced online until even she herself been questioned by the family members whether this is true or not. Then she said that I thought it was just rumors. Then I realized the whole world was spreading the story and in different languages. So people actually believe it and thought this has happened to her, and even her own relative and fiance family have asked her about it. What are the significant effect to the person, although it is not meant to be that. So this is because of the fake news. Sorry. So panduan dalam menggunakan hak kebebasan bersuara. So these are the campaign that we did, Ncmc did mid of last year until end of last year. Kebebasan bersuara bukan kebebasan berbohong. So you kena beringat bila bercakap, mesti bijak menilai, be able to evaluate, and you can give your comment, but you cannot spread hate. You can give your comment based on facts too, and most importantly, you have to speak the truth. Oh, then we come to the section of 211 and Section 233. This is Section 211 and Section 233 of Akta Komunikasi dan Multimedia Malaysia. So it's about the same. This one is providing the platform, another one is spreading the news. So if you go to Section 233, for example, penggunaan tidak wajar. Section 211 is larangan terhadap pemberian kandungan jenis. You are providing that platform. So Section 233, mostly the people in Malaysia, when they've been charged in court, mostly they've been charged under Section 233. Under penggunaan tidak wajar, penggunaan rantaian atau perkhidmatan rantaian dan lain-lain. So, for example, if anybody memulakan penghantaran dan sharing of information or comment or communication which is lucah, sumbang, palsu, mengancam atau jelek sifatnya dengan niat untuk menyakitkan hati, menganiayai, mengugut atau mengganggu orang lain atau adalah melakukan sesuatu kesalahan. Either one of it is either lucah, sumbang, palsu, mengancam atau jelek. And you can, if disabitkan kesalahan di bawah Section 233, boleh didenda tidak melebihi RM50,000 atau dipenjarakan selama tidak melebihi 1 tahun atau kedua-duanya sekali. Dan on top of that, if kesalahan itu hendaklah dan boleh juga didenda selanjutnya RM1,000 setiap hari kesalahan itu diteruskan selepas pensabitan. Normally, people will not do this. That means apabila disabitkan kesalahan, they will take down the content. But if they don't, they can be charged additional RM1,000 per day. As long as, for example, if the content still remains there for another 30 days after disabitkan kesalahan, that means they can be charged additionally on top of the maximum RM50,000, you can be charged another RM30,000. But however, I'd like to highlight also that there are sometimes not duplicating perpilihan undang-undang where when you talk about mengancam, if it's mengancam melibatkan nyawa dan juga harta, this is under kanun keseksaan di bawah Polis Diraja Malaysia. So let me share a bit. Sometimes people always think that whatever with regards to the internet is always Ncmc. Not everything kesalahan di dalam talian adalah di bawah bidang kuasa Ncmc. So key is that whatever kesalahan sama ada dilakukan di dalam talian ataupun di luar talian, it depends on the for example, the act itself. If you are stealing, it's still you be charged, whether online or offline, still you be charged based on kanun keseksaan. So let me share a bit about the act that sometimes people get confused with. There are also Akta Hasutan, which is under PDRM. Pengugat Keselamatan Negara, Demokrasi Berpalikan, this is also under PDRM. Akta Syarikat, Akta Perkhidmatan Kewangan Bank Negara Malaysia, Akta Syarikat Suruhanjaya Syarikat Malaysia, Akta Jualan Langsung. This is something like people get confused where when you buy certain things online, then you don't really get what you have purchased for. It's not under MCMC, it's still under PDNHPP, Kementerian Perdagangan Dalam Negeri dan Hal Ehwal. Akta Undang-Undang Pasaran Moden dan Perkhidmatan and the Securities Commission. Of course, kanun keseksaan is under PDRM when it comes to penipuan, kewangan dan juga perdagangan. So, jenayah luar talian tetap adalah satu jenayah di dalam internet ataupun di dalam talian ataupun di dalam dunia cyber. So, ia akan disiasat mengikut undang-undang yang sedia ada. Internet is just a platform where many activities has been happening, but the actual act or the actual kesalahan itu akan bergantung kepada undang-undang yang sedia ada, sama ada dalam talian ataupun di luar talian, online or offline. And MCMC, as I mentioned just now, is not the only organization that is, under the internet, whatever is wrong on the internet goes to MCMC, because there are quite a number of other acts associated with misuse of internet that goes under PDRM and other agencies as well. So next to that is also Akta Hak Cipta 1987 and Akta Fitnah is also under Kanun Keseksaan and Akta Fitnah 1957 di bawah PDRM. Perjudian, that means quite a number of online perjudian di dalam talian. This one is also online gambling. This one is also under PDRM. If you gamble online, whether online or offline, still under PDRM. So, as I mentioned just now, walaupun mengancam, there's also part of it is under Ncmc, but if mengancam gugutan nyawa dan harta, that goes under Kanun Keseksaan, which is under police. And this is hacking, Akta Jenayah Komputer 1997, also under the police Diraja Malaysia.
Well, Hashimah, you have about 5 minutes
Okay,
left.
okay, 5 minutes left, yeah. Okay, therefore, to go to the next slide, therefore, it's very important for all of us to be able to kawalan kendiri is self-regulation. So, what is, I'll try to go as fast as possible. So, what is kawal selia kendiri or self-regulation? Is for us to be able to control our emotions and also what we want to do in the cyber world. Self-regulation is something that is very important for us to ensure that whether this is if we are not against any law, whether it's online or offline, then it's okay. But if it's against any law, because sometimes people think that online they behave differently, offline they behave different, but it's actually not. So that's why kenapa kawalan diri sendiri penting adalah untuk mengurangkan kawal selia pihak berwajib satu. But if you have been charged, I mean, you can be charged in court. So kesukaran menguasai semua jenis saluran dalam talian. So media global tanpa nama is internet is borderless, but we have the law, we've got jurisdiction of Malaysian law and other countries got that. This also kawan kita sendiri is most importantly is to ensure that we're able to empower ourselves and also to ensure that we're able to utilize internet to the optimum level and do not pose threat to ourselves as well as pose threat to others. And of course, this tip kawalan kita sendiri adalah berdasarkan kepada rukun negara, which is we've got our own national regulations, so we follow our own rukun negara. So apabila tip kawalan kita sendiri adalah berhati-hati apabila kita berkongsi dan elak terlampau oversharing, because you can have data and also you can invite hackers to hack your account. And padamkan maklumat peribadi yang negatif to ensure that you build profile yang positive. Digital reputation is also very important because nowadays even employers before they hire someone, they will look into your digital profile. Laporan kandungan tidak sesuai kepada pembekal perkhidmatan internet pihak berkuasa. You know that, for example, Facebook, there's always a report. So a reporting mechanism, so we can always report it. And also MCMC, aduan MCMC, you can also report online or even through WhatsApp. And also you can also report to the police. So jokes, sometimes you have to also be careful. Some people can be okay with jokes, some people are very sensitive. And must ensure pastikan emosi dan fizikal anda stabil. Elak tidak balas yang terburu. For example, whenever you are very angry, stay away on all the gadgets. Because at that point of time, you might write something that you might regret. So jadikan undang-undang sebagai peringatan sebelum mengemas status. So become a digital citizens, understand all the laws, legislations in association with utilizations of safe internet. video. Another video.
Telefon ni hebat. Order sekarang, esok dapat.
Ramesh, kau pernah pakai ke telefon tu? Tak pernah nampak pun.
Taklah. Diorang bayar aku untuk puji telefon diorang tu.
Tak patut buat macam tu. Mana tahu telefon tu bukan tulen pun. Baik padamkan ulasan kau tu sekarang.
Jangan sebar maklumat palsu. Jadilah pengguna internet yang bertanggungjawab. Klik dengan bijak.
So there's another one I'd like to share. You know, there's a lot of scam that's happening right now.
Wow, menarik. Kena cepat beritahu orang lain ni.
Cuma kredit RM100. Betul ke ni?
Ha, cuba kau tengok ni. SMS tu palsu lah. Link tu untuk mencuri maklumat peribadi kau.
Oh, ya ke?
Sentiasa periksa kesahihan sesuatu maklumat yang diterima. Elak klik pautan yang mencurigakan. Tidak pasti, jangan kongsi. Klik dengan bijak.
Yeah. This is the last slide. These are the initiatives of Ncmc. We've got mobile e-waste. We've got, of course, Klik dengan Bijak. Malaysia ICT Volunteer, which is a platform to empower Malaysian citizens to become digital citizens. So we also got Malaysia ICT Volunteer with Institutes of Higher Education. Hope that universities can contact us and explore more on these. Percent Internet Community, we've got 873% internet community in nationwide. We've also got MyMaker, it's about Internet of Things. We also have Check Your Label to ensure that all phones, all devices, telecommunication devices will have an Ncmc label attached to it. All our phones, if it's genuine, will have this label. And we've got this, sebenarnya.my, tidak pasti jangan pasti. So with that, this is Klik dengan Bijak. Please like and follow our Klik dengan Bijak FB and also IG. We also got YouTube Klik dengan Bijak. You can see all the videos of Klik dengan Bijak uploaded. I think that's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. I hope I did not surpass the time permitted for me.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Hashimah. I'm sure you have your plates full right now because I can see a lot of questions on the chat for you to entertain, which is, I think, quite a smart way not to interfere with the next speaker, whom I will call upon. That is Associate Professor Dr. Sabariah Mohamed Salleh, and she is now attached at the Prime Minister's office. Dr. Sabariah will conduct a workshop on how do we adopt and adapt UNESCO MIL, I forgot, UNESCO Media Information Literacy module. Sorry, in Malaysia, in this country. Over to you, Dr. Sabariah.
Thank you so much, Cik Badrul. I mean, some people actually mistook MIL for mother-in-law, so yeah, that's like so normal.
Exactly.
Thank you
Yes.
very much. Okay, so I will share my screen. Yeah. All right. Okay, so how do we adopt and adapt UNESCO MIL modules in Malaysia? I don't know if you actually had the time to go through, because I think when they sent the invitation emails, they actually did share the module in PDF copy. Okay, but like I will start with handbooks published by UNESCO. So actually UNESCO published a lot of handbooks for media educators, not just on MIL, but also on safety for journalists and how to conduct investigative journalists, conflict sensitive reporting, on how to report in war zones and etc. So the latest book published by UNESCO for media educators is this book. Okay, so in the invitation, we have actually shared this book. So I had the pleasure of actually translating this book to Bahasa Melayu. So it took me about, I think, 6 months to do it during my cuti tanpa gaji, unpaid leave. So I had the opportunity to read the book from cover to cover, and it's like really literally from the front page to the back page. So today I'll be sharing with you what the book is all about first, because I believe before adopting and adapting, we must know what is in the book first. Okay, so there are in total 7 modules in the book. So modules 1 to 7. So they have like, I think it's very smart of them to actually divide the modules into 2 distinct themes. So the first theme is framing the problem of misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. So basically the first 3 will talk about information disorder, misinfo, disinfo, and malinfo. I personally believe that the first, in this section, it's more of like theoretical understanding, building your understanding on the issue as a whole. So in the next section would be the responses to information disorder and its consequences. So in this section is more of the practical part, like how you do fact checking, what sort of information you can fact check, and etc. Okay, so we will, so basically this is the content. Okay, so there are 7 chapters altogether, and it has an introduction section. It also has a special section on how to use the book. So it explains thoroughly on what is in the book, the assignments, and what you can do with the book, how you can actually use the book in your teaching and learning, because it did not say, actually, they didn't say that you need to like, take everything from the book. So as an educator, what you can do is also just pick and choose things that you feel important for you to share in class, because I do understand sometimes it's not easy to introduce like a media information literacy course as a course by itself. So probably you might want to embed some of the contents in your current courses. So what you can do is that you can actually read through and see if it is relevant for you to adopt or adapt. Okay, so as you can see, for the first one, the framing the problem of misinfo, disinfo, and malinfo is actually the first 3 chapters encompasses and explains about the problem and frames the problem. So the first chapter is why it matters, truth, trust, and journalism. So that chapter, it actually encourage you to think about the importance of trust, the importance of journalism, and in creating trust among public. And also it touches a bit about the consequences of misinformation, disinformation, and also malinformation. And it explains a little bit about how this fits into the crisis of trust in journalism, because when you, for instance, when you are a mainstream newspaper or agency and you start sharing misinformation or malinformation, it sort of makes the people's trust on your agency to dissipate. The trust will decrease, because if they find out that whatever you share or publish is not true. Okay, the second module is thinking about information disorder, formats of misinformation and disinformation. So in this chapter, I think Claire Waddle wrote this chapter, and Puan Hashimah actually shared the jadual tu about what is misinformation, what is disinformation, and what is malinformation. So this chapter mostly concentrates on giving you examples of misinfo, disinfo, and also malinfo to give you like a better understanding on the concepts. Okay, so for the third module, it is on news industry transformation, digital technology, social platforms, and the spread of misinformation and disinformation. So basically, it discusses about how pertinent technology and digital technology nowadays in this world, how news agencies, are in a race to be the first to publish and to be the first and also have to meet the demand of public who wants to read it fast, because now information is supposedly to be at your fingertips, and there's a demand to get news as fast as possible. So this is where you can see why online newspapers, they have like live updates. If there's an event, there's a live update. For instance, like was before COVID. If there was an event with the PM, for instance, so the reporter would be there, and then when the PM first gives the speech, they would do like live update what the PM said first. And then as they go on, they will keep on updating and updating and updating. So this is what they feel that the audience wants, and this race to to do this to provide news as soon as possible, as fast as possible, makes it very difficult for fact checking to be done. Okay, so this chapter of this module talks about that. Talks about this. The need to fulfill audience needs, the need to fulfill advertisers' needs, and also the need to fulfill what the government wants as well. So that's the first 3 modules, which I say it's more like theoretical, I would say, because it's more of sharing concepts, constructs, telling about the issue, giving examples, and etc. Okay, then we go to the next theme, in which it talks about or discusses about responses to information disorder and its consequences. So firstly, it talks about combating misinformation through media and information literacy. So it sort of like tells educators what we can do about it. What's our role in this issue. And then the next module is on verification, fact-checking 101. And module 6 is social media verification, assessing sources and visual content. So the 5th and 6th module is very practical in a sense that it really tries to hone your skills in fact-checking. But I do feel that it's a practical base. So if you do wish to adopt these 2 modules, fact-checking modules, I believe that you would need, educators would need to also enhance their fact-checking skills, meaning we need to learn or enhance our knowledge, increase our knowledge on fact-checking, like how do you search for information, for instance, how to use Google, how to use Yandex, which is a Russian information searching engine, very much like Google, but the Russian version, and also the Chinese version, which is Baidu. Like, how do we use that? Because certain things, when you search for certain things, for instance, if you are searching for a building, or like you're checking or like searching for a face of someone with a European background, it is much better to use Yandex than Google. So there are certain pros and cons in using the search engines. Okay, so these are some things that you learn. And also, firstly, you would also like need to know what are information which can be fact-checked, because not everything can be fact-checked. So there are certain types of information which you can fact check, and there are certain types of information which you can't fact check. So that needs to be determined first before the fact checking process begins. Okay, and then, okay, there's also in these two modules, there's also like how to do Google reverse image search, how to verify a video, and how to actually search for, let's say, location of which is shown on a video or in a picture, how to see if a video or a picture is false or it really happened by looking at the shadow, for instance, to see whether it really happened at night, in the morning. So these are the things that you actually learn during fact-checking process. So it's not just a matter of Googling, but there are also like certain skills which needs to be inculcated. And I'm so happy to say that our students, actually mentioned students, 5 of them actually have been trained by Google News Initiative in doing all this fact-checking process. So they know how to archive a web page, they know how to use Whois to check the background of the company or the person who published the news or published the information on the internet. They know how to do Google reverse image search. They know how to verify pictures and also videos. So these are some things that I think is a very good skill, especially for future journalists, because then they won't easily be fooled to share information which they think is true, which was what happened. Like, you know, when in the morning I talk about Ncmc and how he trolled, and local newspapers actually believe what he wrote when it is not the truth. Okay, so that's chapter 5 and 6. You can see I'm quite excited about this chapter because I really like fact checking. I think it's a more practical thing which excites students to do, because I remember like when we shared this with our students, they immediately started doing it and didn't, you know, they actually started fact checking and didn't sleep through the night to just fact check because they are so excited with this new learn skill. Okay, and the last module is combating online abuse when journalists and their sources are targeted. So this is more of how journalists are being targeted online, how they are probably being trolled or being online abused, or how, you know, like how doxing is done on them to threaten them and all that. So this is what is discussed in this module, and also it gives suggestions on how to face these challenges when you become a journalist. So basically, this is the content of the module. It is quite a lot actually for one to like digest in this like short 1 hour. It's quite a lot, but I believe that it is important to actually go through the module for us as educators, especially in the next workshops, in which we will develop a localized module for our students. Okay, so having read the modules, okay, the modules are divided into 7 sections. So each module, there are 7 sections in each module. You can actually check in the PDF copy that we shared with you. So all the modules have this 7 section. It will start with an outline. So they will give like a short synopsis of the topic, and then like a sort of like a theoretical background or like a background of the topic. They will start, giving examples. Examples are all given here. And then they will give the module aims. What's the aim of the module? And what's the learning outcome? What are students supposed to achieve at the end of the module? And okay, forgive me for the typo. The module format, what's the format of the module? So, they will explain, okay, this module, you can do it in forms of lecture, in form of tutorial, in forms of offline learning. So they actually explain and detail it out in the book. So I think it's very helpful. And even give suggested assignments. So suggested assignments, it's really quite thorough in the suggested assignments is quite thorough. I mean, they really explain how to do it. It's just that they don't have like a marking scheme, because I think it's quite, although they give the question, but I guess it's up to the educator or the lecturer in determining how they want to mark the assignment. And I think the most important part for us, in which we can refer to when we are doing our module later on, is the readings part, in which they give like a lot of references. They list out a lot of references, and they also list out a lot of websites which we can refer to, which in which they actually share like websites from educators or from other universities which already has this MIL education or MIL courses in their universities. So this is something that we can actually try to look at later on, and then in which we can adopt and adapt as well. So having read the module from cover to cover, this is my take, but this is my own personal view, in which I also shared with UNESCO Bangkok when they asked me to review the module. I find that the outline can be wordy, but maybe you like it wordy and all that, but I do find it to be kind of wordy. I mean, like I know they are trying to be thorough, and it really explains the whole situation, the concept, and etc. But for us, I think if we were to adapt it word for word, I don't think it'd be quite relevant for our students, because we do have to think, what is relevant to them. And sometimes the information is just so much. I have this feeling like I wish they sort of like break it into small chunks for for us to be able to understand it easily. But that's just what I feel. You might not feel the same way, but you can try to read the modules. But I do find it to be quite wordy. And I think one thing that I feel was lacking was like it didn't really have local examples, because you must know the module writers are all from European countries, okay, from UK, from Europe. So the examples they gave, or Americans. So the example they gave is like from the American president election, or some other cases, which is like it might not be relevant for us. Like I do find myself, because I don't really know some cases in the European countries, so I do find that I had to Google to actually know what the story is all about. And in fact, I mean, they also shared an example about Maria Ressa, in which I also touched in this morning. Because I am not really well versed with Maria Ressa's case, I also find myself having to, look for more information. So I guess the examples are not really localized, and it's an example of things which happen like hundreds of miles away, which probably would not be so relevant, or our students probably had to do more work to understand if we use the example. So this is something which I find lacking. Okay. And then what I found is also the suggested activities and assignments are well thought of. I really like because they even suggest the activities, what activities you can do in class, and what are assignments you can do. So it includes producing videos, and then producing scripts, and all that. So I thought it is well thought of. But then again, I mean, if we were to think of class activities, it would be good if we could come up with our own, ideas on what activities can be done with the students with regards to the modules. Okay. And I do find, and I like it, that they have an extensive list of online resources and references. So this I have explained before. I think it's really helpful, especially in doing, when you want to read up more on the topic. I mean, to familiarize yourself with the topic, or even to get ideas on, what are the activities you can do in class, and etc. So actually this module actually lists out an extensive list of online resources and references. And the thing that I like is that these online resources and references are given not at the end of the book, like, but it's also at the end of each module. So it makes it easier for us to, go through the module and, think of, learn more about the module and the content of the module. Okay, but it also raises a question for me, like how do we actually adopt the module to fit our audience? And in this case, our audience is our university students, because we are all university educators, right? So how do you fit the module into our audience? Because the words which are used in the modules, it can be quite verbose for me. I think can be quite verbose for students. But again, I'm referring to the English one. So we do have a Malay one, but I do feel the Malay one is also quite wordy. I mean, they probably can understand, but it will take time to digest, I feel, and to be able to understand. So how can we make it easier for our students to understand? Also, since the module, there's 7 modules. So, but do we really need to adopt and adapt all 7? Or, are there certain parts that we can choose and concentrate more? So these are the things that came through my mind lah. And then I also think because our audience is students, I think there's really need to make the examples more interesting and relevant. Probably, maybe political examples might not be that interested in political example. I don't know. This is just my thought. You might want to, get examples as well from entertainment stories or something like that, which probably makes them more excited to learn. So examples must be interesting. And also, what are the activities that we can plan for our students? So I know that the module actually listed down several activities, suggested activities for us to do, or for the students to do, for the students to do. But what else can be done? Okay. So since this is a workshop, I thought that we should, do some activities as well. So the first activity I thought of is since we lack local example, I was thinking that we can take maybe 5 minutes to search for examples of misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. So you can Google and you can, take a screenshot or write it out at Miro board. I will share the link in the chat box. So this is the Miro board. Okay. So you can share it here. I will give the link. So you can share the picture here, upload the picture, or you can put a sticky note and write what you find. So this is an individual activity. So I'll give you all 5 to 10 minutes to look for an example and share it with us so that we can discuss. But this example later on can be used for our upcoming module. Okay. Are there any questions?
Dr. Sab, the link did not appear at the chat box.
I haven't given the link. Kejap.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Sat. Sat. Okay. Okay, I've shared the link.
Never used this mirror board before for the sub. It'll be the first time.
Yeah. Actually, this is something that I used when I went for my WHO training, and I found it to be quite interesting.
Where do you click to go to the mirror board? Sorry.
Click on the link at the chat, Cik Bat.
Copy link, is it?
Just click on it.
Okay. Invitation has been copied to clipboard. Oh dear.
So we have to register.
No, you don't have to.
Oh, because the ones that I have now, I have to fill in and password and whatnot.
Yes, Dr. Jam, if it's your first time, you have to register first.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's a problem being a virgin.
No entry, Dr. Jam.
I have to be careful. They might use my information. So
If you guys have trouble using the mirror board, maybe you can just share it at the chat as well. Probably that's easier.
I can't get in, Sab, even after registration.
Okay, then tak apalah, it's okay. Just share it with everyone in the chat box if you find an example. Okay, for those interested to actually try and use this, what you can do first is to click on this sticky note and choose the sticky note that you want to use and click it on the whatever board, and you can start typing. And then tada! And you can lock it so that other people won't change whatever you wrote.
Sorry, Dr. Sab, can you show it again?
Okay, first, tak apa, it's okay. First, click it on the sticky note. See, can you see the sticky note on the left side of the screen? And
Yes.
then you click on it, and then you can choose whatever color sticky note that you want to use. So it can be like yellow, for instance. And then you just bring your sticky note to wherever you plan to write. For instance, now I want to write at this information, so I click it there. So now you can see the sticky note is there. So what you can do is after that is you can type out whatever you want to type. It comes out. And then done. And then what you can do is you can susun balik the sticky note to whatever, like that.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Thanks.
Yeah, because I thought using this, I mean, we will be able to see everybody's idea. So I thought that's why lah. Okay, I can see that Aina Nabila has shared an article. Aina, can you explain what is the article about? Aina?
Yes, sekejap, Doktor.
Macam ada ke tak?
Ada. Dengar kan suara saya kan?
Dengar.
Sebenarnya ni ialah I cakap bahasa Melayu lah, boleh?
Boleh.
Berkaitan dengan penyebaran tentang berita coronavirus hari tu kan. So, ini yang di Malaysia punya lah.
Okay.
Saya pun tak tahu macam mana nak cakap. Tak berhenti lah, Doktor.
Kejap ya. I buka punya artikel.
Tu je lah, Doktor.
Okay, so the article ni, it's about Malaysia arrest 5 for spreading fake news about coronavirus. Okay, this will be an example of the consequences of what happens when you share fake news or disinformation or misinformation, like what Puan Hashimah actually discussed just now. But I do feel, I mean, you can use this for example of the consequences, but in terms of looking for an example of disinformation or misinformation or malinformation, I think it will be good to actually show like the real article, the fake news article, what was it that they shared? What was it that they shared? What this information actually they shared? So one good source actually, like I'm sharing with you, one good source to find examples, local examples in the future when you teach is actually to go to the website which one Hashimah shared just now, sebenarnya.my, because it really this have been share with us, all of us, the public, on disinformation and misinformation and malinformation, which has been publicized in our local newspapers, websites, and etc. So, and the good thing about this website is actually they actually tell you what type of disinformation it is, and then is it announcement, penafian, and etc. Because they have like a few categories lah. If you are interested, actually you can read Haris Zainul's article, policy note on misinformation and disinformation on COVID-19, which has been debunked by sebenarnya.my. So that there you can see the various categorization which sebenarnya.my actually established to differentiate between the different types of information which has been shared by our local media and internet and etc. Okay, so that is a good source. Cuma trouble is that when the story has been debunked, it is very difficult to find the original source. Source yang maybe you will find is the ones that has already been labeled palsu or tidak benar and all that. So it's quite difficult to find the original source because probably it has been deleted and etc. So one thing that you might want to do, let's say lah kan, you come across a very weird or dubious WhatsApp message, for instance, or a Facebook post which you feel that you want to fact check and you want to check if it's true or not, or you want your students to do it. What you can do is to screenshot it and keep it, because there are chances that it will be deleted one day, because just sharing, like the fact check lab team is now actually in a process of doing a fact check for an information, and one of the websites that we found, the content has been deleted. So if we do not screenshot it it's difficult lah. Okay, so these are just some tips. So it's good if you go sebenarnya.my. Puan Hashimah dah share dah. Okay. So they actually have Tula and all that. So it's very good. It's a very good source, a resource for us educators to actually look for examples and local examples. Okay, so in the future when we try to come up with local examples for the modules, I think we can actually look at the content of sebenarnya.my. Okay. All right. Now let me continue kejap. Okay, sorry. Okay, so as I was saying, some references which has been listed in the UNESCO guidebook are as follow lah macam ni. Okay. So I will share it in our chat box nanti. So these are some of the resources that we can actually refer to later on when we try to create a module try to localize a module, try to think of activities. Kejap, I forgot. I want to look at the Miro board if there are any addition. Okay, tak, it's still flying around. The arrows are still flying around, so it's okay. I will just go on. Kejap. Okay. So the kejap, I want to share my screen. Okay, so these are the resources which is listed in the UNESCO guidebook. Okay, it's a good place for us to look for ideas, or like probably we want to adapt the activities that they use and etc. Okay, and then throughout my the trainings and etc. that I have gone through, there are also a lot of other resources which you can go through, look at, refer to, which are not listed in the UNESCO guidebook. And this includes the resources by Stanford University. So surprisingly, Stanford University, the department which actually talks or champions about MIL is actually Department of History. But these guys are really famous, and they came up with like a curriculum, so to say, on digital citizenship. So it also teaches about information literacy, how to look for information, and etc. So they have a lot of activities in it. And then I have also shared resources from Stony Brook University, where they have a center for news literacy and digital literacy, and then also some resources shared by other people online. So it's like a list of resources which you can refer to. So one of the things that is aimed to, one of our aim, or the output of the workshop, the oncoming workshop, is to produce a module, kan? So, and of course, the current module, the journalism, fake news, and disinformation module, like I said, they did list out like a lot of activities, assignments, and etc. But I think since this is a workshop, probably kan, we can. I was thinking we can break into groups, and then we can discuss what are the assignments or activities that we can do with our students with regards to the concept of this information. Like what are the activities that we can do to actually create awareness or teach them about the concept of this information? Because try to think outside the box. Like what can you do aside from just giving lecture or asking them to look for newspaper articles, or doing some illustration or whatsoever. So what are the activities? How would you do it? How would you teach the concept of this information? Now that you know already, Hashimah, I think, gave a great explanation on what this information, what is this information. So how would you teach it? So Dr. Hashim, can you help divide everybody into groups? And then we can start our discussion on how you can teach the concept of this information, what other activities you can do to teach the concept of this information. And I will try and share another Miro board. Kalau tak boleh juga, you can share your ideas in the chat box. Is that okay? Mana satu can boleh?
Dr. Sab.
Okay, we are back. Tak nampak, are they all back? We're still waiting for other people to come back.
Tak habis lagi discuss.
Tapi rasa macam guru kita.
Sab, you just left us.
No, I did not leave you. I was moved.
All right, okay. You know that was the headline for us. Where is Sabariah?
I was like, I didn't control the breakout room and all that. So I was like, okay, tiba-tiba that I was in like a mass breakout room.
It's true.
It's okay. Okay, so can anybody share the idea on like, you know, for lessons or activities which can be done? I was only in Cik Bat's and Teh Emma's group, so yeah, maybe Cik Bat can share, Cik Bat.
Okay, what we had as an example is somebody known as an anti-vax by the name of the bike preacher. So this bike preacher has been making hour-long YouTube videos and making challenges to the authorities for his stance. And he's been debunked by clerks and authorities, religious authorities, for his beliefs, especially leading to COVID-19 and all that we've been doing. He doesn't believe in the SOPs that is imposed by the government. He thinks it's all rubbish, and he thinks the COVID virus doesn't exist, because if it existed, then we all would have been infected by just going to IOI, Tesco's and all these things. But if you want to, he said, impose a strict SOPs at mosque, you know, we only observe when we enter under this penjarakan 1 meter apart. But I think when prayer is done, then, you know, everybody's rushing out, you know, so all these rubbing shoulders, and where's the SOP there? So nobody got infected, and so on and so forth. And he even challenged the media, call me to the TV stations, let me talk to the radio people, let me talk to the public in front of television with the experts, but nobody dared to, you know, to pick up the challenge. So I think this is a good example of disinformation in particular that can be used throughout the semester across several courses. Public opinion, definitely, maybe some semantics, maybe, you know, documentary, BJ, and all other things. I think we can use it to dissect the content, and if you want to relate to psychology, dissect the mindset of this guy. He believes in Illuminati and end of the world kind of a mythology, and doomsday and so on and so forth. So I leave that to the other interested parties. But I think as far as media and communication is concerned, he's quite powerful. We can visit his websites, as you can see there, and I think we can even communicate. He welcomes dialogue, but students have a lot of things to look at. That's for sure.
Thank you, Cik Bat. I think that's a good example. I mean, it's a good case study, which, like you said, can be used across several courses. For instance, even you know, news writing, even like you said, semantics, and etc. And I think there are a lot of activities which also can be planned based on just this case study. For instance, like in news writing, it will be, okay, what sort of news? If you if you are asked to write something about this bike preacher, what will you write about? What news will you write about? So it can sort of make them think on, you know, news value, and also disinformation, misinformation, the right way to report by not being biased, balanced, credibility, and etc. So I guess I think it's a good example, and we will discuss this further, take on further on this module development in the workshop which will be organized by Dr. Hasrul, module development for university students. So I would like to thank you. It's already almost 4 o'clock already. I will pass it back over to Cik Bat to continue.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sab. I think it has been a fruitful and surprisingly very exciting prospect for all of us, especially the researchers in the relevant clusters. I thank you all that has participated and attended this 2-hour session. Puan Hashimah, if you are here, thank you so much. And thank you, of course, to Dr. Sab for enlightening us with her translation, the work that will inform and become the, I think, a framework for upcoming work to be done by carried out by the cluster group. I think if is there anything else? Do you want to say something?
I think Puan Hashimah has not addressed any questions that we have posed.
Okay, yeah. If you have one or two questions, please.
I thought this is
forgot.
the session that is to be answering the questions. I'm sorry.
Okay. We may allow one or two. Please.
Okay, which questions that you like to ask? Maybe you can highlight to me.
I think Dr. Jem has a number. If you want to ask one or two. In the chat box.
Can I ask one question, but
yeah,
yes, please.
To what do you call that? Puan Hashimah, right?
Yeah.
Puan Hashimah, I've got several questions actually, but my question that I'm very interested in knowing is because when you show us the kind of the regulations, the laws and whatnot, for me, my opinion that it seems that the government is quite punitive in its approach to internet users and information disorder. However, scholars have pointed out the problems of information disorder on the net is a mirror image of the mainstream news itself. Therefore, when we are very punitive, there seems to be a dichotomy of we, government, you, internet user, that seems to create further distrust towards the mainstream media. So how does Ncmc reconcile the conflict or the distrust that the audience have towards the mainstream media, so that they can go back to the mainstream media as the main provider of the information? And to Dr. Sabariah, I have a question, because when we look at the what do you call that, the module itself, I've been thinking, what is the underlying philosophy that's being used in the construction of the module itself? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jem.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Jem. Can I answer you? Okay, Dr. Jem, as we mentioned, that is, I think, that is just a perception that you see that there's a punitive action by the government. It's actually the government sebenarnya tak nak punish anyone, but this is also to ensure that the harmony in the country is very important, and that is the reason why at Ncmc we have many activities. For example, we've got sebenarnya the MY to help the community, the public to check on information. And for your information, the views of sebenarnya MY from March 2020 until February 2021 is about 152 million views. So there's a lot of people coming to check the information. And lagi satu, we also talk about digital literacy, digital and media literacy. that is where we've got this Klik Dengan Bijak program. We also have Malaysia ICT Volunteer Program, which one of the focus group is we partner with the school teachers, Sekolah Rendah dan juga Sekolah Menengah, is to inculcate the positive use of ICT since they are small, to give them the understanding of how they can protect themselves, because there's quite a number of pedophiles online, and we also want them to not overshare the information so that they will be prone to all these scammers or pedophiles, and to ensure that they understand the do's and the don'ts. So we have that all these programs online to ensure that the community, even we have 173% internet community nationwide, we also have this Klik Dengan Bijak program to teach the community about how to utilize the internet to the best and optimum level. Ncmc tidak semudahnya akan just you do this, semua orang akan diambil tindakan. Of course, this is based on reports. And juga dakwaan itu adalah bergantung kepada DPP. For example, ada perpindahan akta seperti akta hasutan, akta kanun keseksaan dan juga akta komunikasi dan multimedia. DPP will decide on which case ada merit dia and which laws that applies to that. Sebab itulah kita ada banyak-banyak program yang kita buat adalah untuk membina masyarakat yang digital citizen, warga digital, because the ability to use the digital equipments or devices does not make you a digital citizen. Digital citizen dia punya framework dan dia punya elements of digital citizens would be you are able to use it to improve your knowledge, improve your skills, improve your social economic where possible. You are to improve yourself and also do not post threat on yourself as well as post threat to others. This is what we are trying to do. So I think the act is sufficient at this moment. Bukanlah nak kata semua orang kena 50,000. If you look at it, tak sampai 50,000 lah setakat ini yang dikenakan, tidak kan. Tetapi it's more of like trying to enhance the digital literacy of Malaysians so that they understand the do's and the don'ts. And in fact, one of our Malaysia ICT volunteer program is that Malaysia ICT volunteer with institutes of higher education, where we get the university students to contribute towards the society, towards the community. One of the group, for example, when we had before, they trained the senior citizens on how to utilize the devices or to be in contact with their family members, their grandchildren who are staying far apart from them. How do they utilize the devices and applications to take care of each other? So this is one of the elements that we have. In fact, at Ncmc, I'm also looking into universities. You can still contact me if you want to have this Malaysia ICT volunteer with Institute of Higher Education, where we'll train the students and get them to contribute towards the society. And on top of that, ada satu soalan ni tanya tentang research. So bulan 3 ni kita akan buka research grant. Dia ada timeline. It's just so happen ni bulan 2 ni, bulan 3 ni akan buka research grant that university can also apply for the grant. So please have a look at our Ncmc website. I hope I answered your questions, Dr. Jia.
Yeah, thank you. Puan, the initiatives, can we check them in Ncmc's website?
You can for Klik Dengan Bijak ada Facebook, IG dan juga YouTube. Malaysia ICT Volunteer dan juga website. Malaysia ICT Volunteers also ada Facebook, IG dan juga website. Dan juga Telegram.
Alright, okay. Okay.
You can visit us.
Okay,
but if you would like to have for your students, you can contact me directly.
Alright, okay. Cheers. Thank you, Puan.
Okay.
Okay, yes, the underlying philosophy, Jam. Hello,
Yes.
Jam. Okay. So, I think this is part of UNESCO's initiative, part of its global initiative for excellence in journalism education, in which they try to share best practices. So if you see, the writers of the book are journalism educators, and some of them are established fact checkers, like Claire Wardle is from First Draft, and a lot of other writers are really well known in the area of media and information literacy. Yeah, so basically it aims to create awareness, because this is actually mostly for journalists or journalism students. It's aimed for journalism students, and it's to create awareness. And also, if you notice, they also talk about their safety, like online safety and etc. So to also know their rights, and also to know, to let them know what they need to know, like actually to be an ethical journalist, to be a good journalist. I think that's the underlying philosophy. I hope that answers your question.
Yes and no, because I was thinking in terms of what kind of gender assumption that the authors perhaps or UNESCO have about human being, the nature of human being, that we are tackling, because we are talking about adopting it to classroom. So we need to understand, because Malaysians have our own unique culture, understanding of the world, and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because I was thinking, what is the general assumption that the book has about us as human being? That are we that gullible? Can we be trained? That kind of question.
I don't think they assume. I mean, they're assuming anything, but they're just sharing possibilities, because as you know, like human being, we are all different. I mean, we have different capabilities, we have different expertise, we have different skills. So I think this book is aimed for the general, general masses, without any assumption. Because if you read it, they do share macam, what they share are like case studies, and like examples of misinfo, disinfo. And when they talk about online abuse, they just share like what might happen to you. They explain what is astroturfing, what is doxing, and etc. So there is no underlying assumption that we are gullible, I think, but it's more of trying to share best practices of, like, being the best journalist, being a fair, just, and ethical journalist. I think that's more of it lah.
Okay,
Thank you,
excuse me, I
Sal.
need to
Thank you.
intervene. You can put a halt to that, not to a complete stop. And maybe this discourse can be continued elsewhere between Dr. Jam and Dr. Sab. Surely this is a very important philosophical questions, because we are not just human beings, and we can't be programmed to change our behavior to be able to identify A, B from C and D, and so on and so forth. And with that, I conclude this webinar sessions. The last 2 hours have been fascinating. And thank you to all participants, to all speakers. And may we have, I think, similar webinar and with similar importance and relevance to our lives in the next round. Thank you all very much. Thank you, organizers. Thank you.